Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be going over the changes and updates to the Dragoon job that are coming in the next Final Fantasy XIV expansion, Shadowbringers. This information comes to you from the recent North America media tour that I attended. Keep in mind though, everything's subject to change. Potencies, effects, pretty much anything could be different by the time we get it in Shadowbringers. I'll put a little watermark at the bottom, and with that, let's get started. Dragoon's overall playstyle will remain mostly the same going into Shadowbringers. They did have some skills removed and they had some skills changed around to make them easier to use, but if you were familiar with it before, you'll still be familiar with it. So first up, the list of Dragoon skills that saw minor changes, so we don't really need to go into too much detail on them. As you can see, it's a pretty long list, as this is the majority of the Dragoon skills you're probably comfortable with. There are some potency changes here and there, but for the most part, you should still recognize these abilities after 5.0. They did have a few skills removed though. Blood for Blood was kind of removed, it was actually replaced with a brand new skill, so it's not going to feel like it's gone entirely. Heavy Thrust and Impulse Drive though are both gone, so you don't need to worry about A, fishing for that damage buff on Heavy Thrust, and B, comboing off Impulse Drive anymore. True Thrust will instead combo into Disembowel. On top of that, Disembowel no longer has that piercing debuff, which is standard with all the other things they've done for the other jobs so far. Now onto the abilities that saw more major adjustments. True Thrust surprisingly got a pretty big adjustment. It now can transform into Raiden Thrust once you get a trait at level 76. Now it only transforms into Raiden Thrust when you properly do the positionals for Fang and Claw and or Wheeling Thrust at the end of a 5-part combo. It just makes the start of your next combo stronger really. Disembowel, we already mentioned, combos off True Thrust now and no longer has the piercing resistance. However, they did give it a different effect. It now increases the damage you deal by 10% for 24 seconds. It essentially replaced Heavy Thrust and made sure you weren't really missing out on too much by losing both Heavy Thrust and the piercing debuff. Now I have this under adjusted skills, but Lance Charge is essentially the new Blood for Blood. I guess because it no longer has the part where you take more damage, they decided to change the name. Lance Charge just increases your damage dealt by 15% for 20 seconds on a 90-second cooldown. You'll use it still essentially the same as you did before. Jump actually saw a couple of changes as well. I didn't think they'd do it again, but they sped up the animation for it again. It's always a good thing, because you're always at risk when it comes to jump. It also transforms into a more powerful high jump after you reach level 74. Spine Shatter Dive is mostly the same, but it no longer grants Dive Ready. I suppose they want you to be using it just for damage or for the gap closing, and not just using it in order to get more eyes for your transformation. Speaking of transformations, Blood of the Dragon now starts at a 30-second duration after you hit level 78. Also, to open the eyes on Blood of the Dragon and go into Life of the Dragon, it will only require 2 eyes. The same goes for Life of the Dragon, with the duration being set to 30 seconds. As for new skills, Dragoon really just got a couple of them. We already mentioned High Jump, which is basically the same thing as Jump but with higher potency. They also got a third part of their AoE combo with Korthan Torment. It's just an AoE combo following Sonic Thrust. It does 230 combo potency in a straight line and extends Blood of the Dragon by 10 seconds. Probably the most hype moment of the job action trailer was when the Dragoon did the Nidhogg attack. Now, in the Nidhogg fight, it's called Final Chorus. Here, it's just called Star Diver. It's a 550 potency AoE damage jump with a 30% fall off after the initial target. It does also double as a gap closer, and it can only be used during Life of the Dragon with a 30-second cooldown, meaning you're only going to get one of these per Life of the Dragon. And that's pretty much it for Dragoon. You just have something else to do during Life of the Dragon, and a better reason to try and fish for positionals. Your AoE rotation's a little bit better, and jumps faster. Overall, it should feel almost exactly the same, which is a good thing, because I actually like the way that Dragoon plays, and it's only going to flow a little bit smoother now. In case you're wondering about traits, we kind of mentioned them already. You know, Jump Transforming, Life of the Dragon, Lance Mastery is the same. Lance Mastery 2 does actually increase the potency of True Thrust and Vorpal Thrust, and that's the same trait that gives you access to Raiden Thrust under the condition we mentioned earlier. And the Blood of the Dragon Mastery is the thing that makes them both, Blood of the Dragon and Life of the Dragon, start at 30 seconds. And that's going to be a wrap for my video covering the changes to Dragoon. Big shout out to the North American content creators who were also at the media tour in North America. I was totally missing a few traits and a few things like that, so they helped me by providing me with some tool tips, and I gotta give them a shout out. No doubt that there's going to be a bunch of other videos covering this same content by people who may be more passionate about Dragoon. I know my boy Sly is definitely working on a Dragoon video. I know you're working on a Sly. So be sure to go check out the other content regarding the media tour, both on my channel and on other channels. else. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned because it's going to be a busy season coming up to Shadowbringers. I'll see you all in the next one, and until then, take care.